Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everyone. Ryan here with a long overdue update. It's getting very close to when we have to turn in our keg for the Stone AHA rally. In case you missed my last vlog, me and a buddy of mine are co-brewing up a Coconut IPA for the Stone AHA rally. The winner of that competition gets to brew the recipe on Stone system. So last year's was the mint chocolate, or what was it? Chocolate mint chocolate stout from Ken Schmidt, who won that one. So we have to turn in the keg on Friday. But I figured I'd talk about kind of coconut and using coconut in an IPA, because a lot of people thought it sounded strange, thought it wouldn't work. I'm here to tell you it does work, give you some tips on that. So there's basically 3 ways to add coconut, at least that I can think of. Well, I mean, there's a few more, but when to add whatever coconut. You can use coconut extract, you use actual coconut itself, there's coconut milk. You know, there's some things you can play around with. But you can add it in to the boil, which I really don't like to boil anything. I always steep stuff. So, end of the boil is where I do it. Flame out with hops. Add your coconut in, let it steep. That's one way to do it. 2 is secondary in the dry hop. So with your dry hops, throw in some more coconut. And then the 3rd is kegging, if you have that option, which is what we're doing. You're required by this competition to keg anyway. But adding it to the keg is a great way of really dialing in the amount of coconut, because you can just keep pulling off liquid and, you know, pulling off the beer and seeing, well, how much coconut flavor you get, and do you want more, how much to leave it in. It's a great way to do that. For the first batch, I added coconut in the dry hop and in the keg. The second batch, I did it in all 3 phases: flame out, dry hop, keg. Kind of came to the conclusion based on my friends, what my friend did. We went with end of the boil, so let it steep. You'll still sanitize the coconut if there's an issue there. And do it in the keg. I think this is the best ways to dial it in. There's actually quite a bit of coconut character left over after fermentation. You'd be surprised how much comes through. And then the keg, you add it in the keg to really just kind of brighten it up, get a little more intense on the palate and the aroma. Now, we can't use extract in this competition. The other ways to do it is get a coconut extract, something from like McCormick's. We played around with that. That adds a really intense coconut aroma, and it does add some flavor. The flavor is not quite as good as using actual coconut, but it makes the aroma really pop. So I would recommend adding in a little bit of that and just kind of dosing it in the keg if you can, or I guess bottling bucket if you're bottling it. Put it in the bottling bucket, stir it around, and see where you're at as far as that goes, because that stuff's really potent. Coconut milk, I used a little bit of coconut milk in my first batch. It does part in flavor, but not as much. I think using actual coconut works. So there's the different types of coconut, different ways to get it cut up. You can do the shredded. I see like there's the scallop like shavings, and then this is what I use right here. This is the Bob's Red Mill Fine Macaroon Coconut. This is organic, unsweetened, and I'll show you that. This stuff is very, very finely ground, and the camera's not focusing in as like I want it to, but it's it's very finely ground stuff. So to use this, you got to use something like this fine mesh bag. This is really finely meshed. I mean, this will hold it really well. If not, you're just going to get this coconut everywhere. This holds probably close to 2 pounds worth of coconut if you need to use that much. I only used 1 package at Flame Out, and then I used a pound in the keg for my recipe. And then contact time in the keg will determine how much coconut character you get. You can also make your own coconut extract. I did that. Took a little jar, put coconut in there, added vodka, and I added, when I still had it, I added a little bit of coconut milk just to kind of keep it moist. And then the vodka just to sanitize. Makes your own tincture. You can add that in as well. As far as prepping the coconut, I toast it in the oven. It depends on how much coconut you have and how thick a layer you have on your pan, but I took like a kind of like a brownie pan, metal one, lined it with foil, put the coconut on top, spread it out into an even layer, and would toast it in the oven about 200 degrees for at least 15 minutes. Depends on how much you have, but if you don't have a lot of coconut, say only like 4 to 8 ounces, check after 10 minutes, and I would just go 15 minutes at 200, stir it, dial it down to about 190 at that point, just to make sure you don't want to burn it. You want to at least get a nice yellow color into a very light brown color and give it a little bit of toastiness. That helps. And that's kind of what I use to prep it for both putting it in the flame out and in the keg. So that's kind of what I was. And then we you have to use the right hops though with the coconut, and we played around with some extract in a more traditional American style IPA like Plain the Elder is what we use, and that's more of that Columbus, Simcoe, Centennial type of hop character, and which leads to that more piney, grapefruit sort of West Coast style beer, and the coconut doesn't really work, at least to me, doesn't work that well with it. You really need to focus in on the more fruitier hop varietals out there. Your Citras, your Amarillos, some of the New Zealand ones, your Nelson, Motueka, what else am I forgetting? Galaxy from Australia is a great one to use. Mosaic's a newer one that would work well. Belma, I've talked about that hop, works well. Use those fruity varietals. They already have some of that tropical character in them, and it'll work really well with the coconut to give you that, not quite a pina colada character, but along those lines. Also, I wouldn't over bitter the beer either. Don't dial back your bitterness a little bit. Put a lot of hops in the back end. We did. You could do like 10 minutes and flame out, or 10-5 flame out for your hop additions. For a 5-gallon batch of using something like a Magma, you use like no more than 1 ounce. You don't want it too bitter. The bitterness will kind of plays against the coconut a little too much. The coconut adds a nice body to the beer and adds nice creaminess to it. Even though the beer finished at 1.011, so it finishes pretty dry, but the coconut really helps with the mouthfeel and helps kind of sweeten it up a little bit. And I think the bitterness can be, if you have it too overwhelming, it doesn't work quite well with the beer. So that's going to be it for this Homebrew Wednesday. We'll see how we do in the competition. Keg gets turned in Friday. The competition's on the 16th. And if we're not able to win that one, then hopefully I can find another brewery to take this to a bigger level, do a pro-am with them. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to wrap it up. Until next time, cheers.